Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. It is with the games now on Thursday night. It is Simulation Football League, Minor League Football Game Night Eve. That's what I was trying to get out. Lots of words coming there. Words fail me sometimes, but hopefully not for long. All right, so it is this week 7 tomorrow night. Episode 11 is the episode for our show right now. I'm excited. We've got 2 more weeks of regular season football. We've got some favorites. We've got a lot of teams at 3-3. It is going to be a shootout for the next next 2 weeks to see who makes the cusp, who doesn't, and then we've got a semifinal and a big final wrapping up our big season 5. Hope you guys are all enjoying that. Tonight we've got a great show for you tonight. We have with me Daniel. You say, I'm like, who's on tonight, or who's coming in, and you're like, I live here. So thanks for coming upstairs from the basement to our minor league fights and insights home. Daniel, great to have you here tonight.
Hey guys, no problem. It was getting a little cold down in the basement, so I decided, I want to come up and join the fun to see what fun we got here. I see Reno's already sporting a cap that he must like.
Yes. So yeah, we've got Johnny Reno joining us tonight as well, alongside Daniel. Johnny, how are you tonight?
I am great. Ready to talk about some minor league football.
That is great to hear. I'm excited about that. We are set to do that, but we've got a couple things first. We're definitely going to get to that. So first, we have an interview with a minor league player. Tonight's interview is with Mr. Jason Peace. He is the inside linebacker for the Albuquerque Adams. Jason, are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Great to hear you. I was telling you a little bit earlier, even before the show started, how great it is just to hear people's voices. There's just something about it that just makes you feel a little extra connective to people. So
makes you real.
And absolutely. So tell us, who is Jason Peace? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a big kid for the most part. Collect Hot Wheels. I have like 25,000 Hot Wheels.
Oh my goodness.
Make Hot Wheel videos. Love video games. Love football. And my wife and my son both call me just the biggest kid they know.
That is awesome to hear. So I'm curious that you've got me. So I haven't made that many videos of Hot Wheels, but I remember when my son was little, we had all these like building blocks. We would make these ramps and try to crash how many cars we could down them. So I have a video out there, like it might be like 3 or 4 minutes long, with my 3-year-old son at the time, who's now 14, playing with Hot Wheels and the tracks and things. Is that the kind of videos that you do, or like tell us a little bit more about that?
I found a guy on YouTube called 3D Bot Maker, and the production value is it's amazing, and the races are cool, and I'm kind of got an addictive personality, so if I get involved in something, I'm pretty much all in on it.
Awesome.
And found him during COVID. Everybody's sitting at home searching videos to watch, and next thing you know, I've got a race mountain in my room. So I started like 8 foot tall, and there's about a 15-second run. And
wow,
you know the guys that do like the hobby trains.
Yep.
So it's kind of like that. It's that for Hot Wheels. So they start at the top about 8 foot, and they come down, and they race.
Holy cow! Would you be willing to share a link to like your playlist or your YouTube channel? I'd love to, myself look at it, and then I'll share it in the Minor Fights and Insights. Or if you want to put it out there, that's great. I would love to see it and share the something else that you are passionate about.
I never put them up on YouTube.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. The editing on it is just massive.
Okay.
So really, it was me and my son doing the videos, and then just kind of watching them back.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I see. So I thought maybe you were doing.
It was a thing that was in the works, but we moved, so that mountain came down, and then we moved. I got to build a new mountain.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Even if you have photos, I'd love to see like the 15-foot thing. That would be cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So tell us, Jason, a little bit about your journey in the SFLm. When did you join? What has it been like so far?
It's been unexpected, and I love it. Like I said, we moved from Florida to Kentucky in December.
Okay.
So when you move from Florida to Kentucky in December, and you've got to get used to the cold. So that was a lot of time staying indoors, staying warm. And then our new cable service had NXT on it. So I was flipping through one day, and I'm one of the TV guys. I was flipping through and saw it. Like, what the heck is this? Because I've been doing I love doing simulation. I didn't sim and watch the games, but like NCAA football was my thing. I think I had like 50 years of NCAA football, just recruiting and then simming through the season. So that piqued my interest, and then watched a couple games and started reading about it. And the next thing you know, I'm in.
Yeah, I was the same way. For me, it was like Madden 98, Madden 2001, just like franchise mode, creating players, running them through.
Yeah, especially like with Madden, I was never good enough on the sticks to really compete with anybody. So, next best thing, just sit there and veg out and send a bunch of seasons and have a good time with it. I mean, I have notebooks still. I think at my dad's, I still have notebooks where I kept my own like stats.
Wow.
And just notebooks full of stuff. Yeah.
There's just something fun to geek out about it. Yeah, totally.
It is.
What has been one of your favorite moments so far since joining the league?
I think like for my player, my first sack, which it doesn't show up in my stat line for some reason, but it happened. I know it happened because I stopped the entire house. I went and grabbed my son, grabbed my wife, and I think I mentioned it 10 times in a row. And I don't know how many times I've watched it, but that was one. Jay's first game, being an announcer, and just hearing him go, Jason Peace, Jason Peace, Jason Peace, making plays all night. I think every time he sang, I think my chest went up a little bit bigger, and then I had to exhale back to my stomach. That was pretty cool. And then I think one of the really neat things about this was our first game. Trellis had a rough game, so I remember telling my wife, "It's like, oh my god, he's about to get roasted," because that's what I came from other video games. I played other video games, some of them pretty competitively, and they just got real toxic. That's what I was used to. Mm-hmm. And it was just when I went into the chat, everybody was just encouraging, and nobody was getting down on him. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I got a bigger part of this. This is amazing.
Yeah, that is great to hear. That I really love that last highlight. That's one thing that I love about this. Exactly what you were just saying. The community. That we're competitive for 90 minutes, and then we can go back to being one happy family kind of thing, or trying to support each other. Is really what I'm a big advocate of. So.
Yeah, and I think you realize like it's not the person on the sticks making a decision, and so there's no reason to like act like that. So I mean that was just kind of just refreshing to see that it wasn't. It was just supportive, and that I love that. I love that part of it.
Good, well, good. Daniel, do you have any questions for Jason?
Yeah, Jason. I love Sim and Madden too. Actually, that's what me and my brother Banks was doing before we got into the SFL league. So I guess we all came in the same place here. So with the Albuquerque Adams, they had a bit of a rough start. They struggle on the offense, but it looks like the defense has really been locking it down. How you want to say some things about the defense itself and how they've kept games for one of my favorite kickers of all time, Mickey? Give him the chance he needed to get these 3 points. I got to put it in there, at least once.
I think we started to gel, and I think the coaches started seeing our strengths and really started. They just done a great job. Well, Coach Williams and Bryant, they've just done a good job of putting everybody in their positions to make the best plays they can make. So I think that's one of the big differences. I think the secondary has just went crazy, especially Liam last game, 4 picks. I mean, so I think that helps. So now if you can put those guys on an island and rely on the front 7 to stop the run, it just makes a big difference. So I think that was, and the offense has just been, they're coming around too. I mean, Trellis has been playing lights out, TT's playing lights out, Honus. I mean, everybody's starting to peak at the right time.
Yeah, it did good point on Liam, who actually got recognition. I think he's actually in the history books now with those 4 picks. So you guys are really making waves now in this later half of the season, and you're right in prime position to make a playoffs. Reno, did you have any questions?
I do. So you mentioned the Hot Wheels cars. So I have little kids, and do you ever walk around maybe at night and step on one of the Hot Wheel cars? And if so, how does that make you feel?
No. There's more Legos. I think Legos got me more than Hot Wheels.
The Legos for sure. No, but man, good to talk to you. So I'm looking at your stats for the season, and in 6 games you have 51 tackles. I did notice here I guess you didn't get credit for a sack, but I'm going to go ahead and put you in for a sack there. But looks like you're having a great season so far. In Albuquerque being 3-3, and the competitiveness of the middle of the pack of the teams trying to make a run for the playoffs. How are you feeling about that?
It's like I said, I think we're peaking at the right time. So I think I like our chances. I like what we're doing. I think one of the really cool things about our team is even if things aren't going good early, we just seem to stay in it. I mean, 2 of our wins were last second wins.
Yeah.
And then last week we finally had a little breathing room at the end of the game. But so I think that's a big part of it. I think the last game too, we had a little motivation from somebody saying something about "mark my words." I think is the way it went. Remember that?
Maybe.
You remember that, Johnny?
I had to think
Mark
about
my
it for a
words.
second.
Madison's getting their first win.
I did say that. Some of us just have to take that leap and hope for the best. But other than that, being a linebacker and the needs with pro teams now, have any pro teams reached out to you as far as the draft in the near future? And also, if so, how have those conversations gone?
They have, and that's another thing that has been like really awesome about this whole experience is you can do anything in this league. So if you ever want to live out a fantasy of being on a show or being a commentator or being anything, being an owner, a defensive coordinator, anything, you can do it. So I think that is one of the really really cool things about it. I have talked to some teams. I think after listening to Matthew last week, that's the dude that I'm looking up to because he's the top right now. So him saying he went back to the minors to work on his skills, and I think that was just kind of eye opening. It's like, you know what, I could do that too if I needed to. I really want to stay at inside linebacker. I've had some teams approach me about moving to the outside, but if I can't make it at inside, I would take the Matthew route.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, always keep in mind that if you did move to the inside, outside, wherever you go, you can always switch back later on. So whatever the opportunity is, it can be a good thing just to take that leap into the pros. But yeah,
but I am
listening
listening to. I mean, I'm listening to everybody for sure. It's just cool. I'm just a sponge, just soaking it all in. A lot to learn. I didn't even know what Discord was before we started this. A lot to learn.
I never had a Discord before I joined the SFL. Now I feel like I'm mediocre at it. But anyway, good luck in the draft in the next couple weeks, and look forward to hearing your name called.
Oh, thank you so much. Good luck on that next prediction.
I got one coming soon.
So, Jason, did you have any final words to say to any GMs, any owners, or to any shout outs that you want to say to anybody?
I mean, I'm motivated. I'm willing. I'm loving this. I mean, it's like I said, if I get into something, I pretty much jump into it. Even that when I did stop at the house and brought my wife down and said, "Hey, look, watch this sack." She at me and she's like, "This is going to be a thing, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it is." She's like, "All right." so I'm ready to go. I like to have fun in chat. I love to have fun in the in the locker room. And I'm not I won't hurt you. I can promise you that. I can all I can do is help you.
Absolutely. Well, it's been fun. Been great getting to know you. I love the passion and energy you bring. You just seem like you're a great guy and great energy. So thanks for coming on tonight.
Oh, congrats on those signings, by the way. You guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. We're all legendary in our own way here today.
I've been looking forward to wearing this hat for 2 weeks. So
I hope to join you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks. Have a good night, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right. Well, that was Jason. It was again. It's always great to get to know these people. Seems like a great guy. Next, we have a special guest tonight. Tonight we've got Shane Kaufman is joining us. He's the general manager for the Motor City V8s. Shane, are you there?
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Evening.
Hey,
nice to have you here.
Long time no see.
yeah,
I know. Back to joining my family here.
right.
Love you a little bit of Shane. So you reached out. You want to be on because you want to, talk a little bit to the minor league players that are listening, and share and talk a little bit. I'd love to know from you, what is the process like for you, new GM coming into the role. What is it like for interviewing these draft picks, these minor league players?
Yeah, so my first season at GM, so it's definitely a learning curve. Um, but my process is, being a two-way contract player right now, I get to actually see a lot more, especially in my locker room. So I kind of just, my process been this season kind of watching the games, looking at what players are doing what, looking at their builds and kind of making a list of needs that we have, like defensive players or like a tight end or something, and kind of put a list together and start reaching out to these players, and you guys all went through the interviews. The questions are probably most teams ask this, the same questions because it's not just the player itself, but you want to know the person behind the player.
Yep.
Because in these locker rooms, it's like family. You don't want to, you know, you want to have fun, you want to win, but you want to have fun at the same time. So I think that's kind of my process that I've been going through this season.
Very cool. So uh, should should draft players, people who are interested in being drafted, reach out to GMs? I assume yes. Are you guys
Yeah,
looking for is that something that you welcome? Is that something you want to have happen?
yeah. So, that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on. I had a lot of people help me when I was a rookie, reach out to me and help share a lot of the things they did to help them get into the majors. So I just want rookies to know, keep an eye on the player openings. Teams are always posting on there, what positions they want or just to reach out because you never know. Um, so like for me, example, I reach out to rookies, but when we just put another one out there, I would like to see rookies reach out because as a GM, when a player reaches out, we feel like okay, they're interested. They want to learn more, so it helps get a step up in the game, so to speak.
Hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
Shane, also, because this is a good segue to this, I know from your experience, you actually got involved in the stats team before you got drafted, and that really helped you get the boost you needed to be drafted, right?
Yeah, that's another good point too. Like get if you rookies out there, get involved. Their stats. We're always looking for people in stats. I actually still help out in the stats when I can. Um, you know, um, Teams are always looking for people to do stats. It's you learn a lot. You learn a lot behind the scenes. So it's definitely fun. But if you could do social media or graphics or any kind of thing like that, that also will help because there's teams that look for things like that. So if you could do anything or you want to learn how to be a scout or, eventually a coach or anything, when you're in these interviews, you're talking to GMs or owners or coaches, just tell them, that don't, let them know what your goals are and, it could help you.
Shane, I saw somebody mention, and I'm just curious on your point of view on this. Um, uh, Someone was interested in, or a team was interested in reaching out to a rookie player. They wanted to set up a voice chat VC, kind of like a phone interview kind of thing. And the rookie was like, I'm not sure. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't, I'd rather do it in like DM kind of thing. Why don't they just DM me? What is what value do you see in having voice chats, much like we're doing right now, versus just simple, uh, direct messaging kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, for me personally, I'm okay with either. If a rookie wanted to speak to me because they feel like they can speak to me on, the voice chat better than, 'cause some people have a hard time typing out what they actually want to say. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with doing either, and I'll let rookies know that. Um, for me, DMing, just messaging and stuff also helps because when I have conversation, I ask questions and stuff. I always have that to fall back on and look at what that player said or what that player's interests are. So I kind of have like a backlog on it.
Sure.
So I kind of like to do both. It's really more what what the rookie is comfortable with.
Sure.
That's how I am. But other GMs, they may do it differently.
So ultimately, try to advocate for yourself. Like I love that you mentioned there's some people have preferences and how they come off. I know. Janet, you mentioned earlier, and I myself suffer from this like social anxiety and like going on things and talking verbally is started off being difficult. It's gotten a lot easier lately, but it doesn't come naturally to some people, and it's just personally on our side for the Minnesota Legend, we've had a couple that have requested just simply doing DMs versus voice chats, and we've respected that. There's nothing terribly wrong with it. So if you are not interested in doing that, at least say, hey, I'm willing to, do you want to set up a group chat? We can chat that way, via text. Yeah, I like how you mentioned that there's just some people they have preferences, and it's up to how accommodating can you be. Also, do you really want to talk with that person? Maybe you'll overcome or set aside your anxiety to try to like show that I'm actually passionate, I want to connect with that person, or just simply asking, hey, do you mind if we do it via text or something?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Cool. Johnny, do you have any questions for Shane at all?
No questions, but just to chime in on a couple things. But I know throughout the course of me talking to various teams, kind of like you just mentioned, that even if you just start out via text or group chats, sometimes you can become more comfortable with those people, and you'll grow into um, a voice chat. But some some GMs prefer it, some don't. It really just depends on the person. But either way, I don't see fault in either one. But the one biggest takeaway that I wanted to mention that you guys were talking about is for the player, I recommend personally, don't sit back and wait for GMs or owners to reach out to you. There's no harm. The teams post in the player openings for a reason. There's so many minor league players that I'm sure it's hard for all these teams to gauge interest in every player. So reach out to the teams. If you see your position posted and it's something that you might be interested in, just reach out and say, "Hey, my name's so and so. I'd like to chat." It can't hurt, and it could turn into a relationship like we have now. So you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most definitely. That was well said.
Well, cool. Shane, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I'm just looking forward to the draft. I'm sure a lot of these rookies are getting a lot of messages right now, and I just want them to know, take it in. Um, you know, don't be afraid to, just like Johnny just said, start reaching out. Reach out. Don't wait till the last minute, because you know, there is a lot of players this year. There's a lot more than it's all has been. Especially for me, it's hard to even see or even scout all the players that are in the SFLM this year. So definitely
Absolutely.
reach out to me. We have openings, so don't be afraid. Shoot me a message. I'll answer you as soon as I can.
I love that. Don't be afraid. Shane is the best, easiest person to talk to. So don't be afraid. Feel free to reach out, and that goes for most GMs. They're there. They're probably the most, usually typically the easiest to talk to of people on the team. So they're there to be that conduit to players that are interested. So yeah, don't be afraid. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Shane. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys. Keep up the good work here.
Thanks.
Yeah, come
Thanks,
back
Shane.
again soon, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll see you. Hey, go Tacoma.
Go Tacoma.
Go Tacoma.
All right. Good night, Shane.
See you guys.
All right, we haven't heard from him for a while, so that's great to hear him back. I'm sure he's been super busy. I know he has a little youngin out at home and things, and on top of that, now with the new GM role and things, this has been a crazy month so far, and we're only roughly 2 weeks away from the draft. And I saw some rookies, some minor league players looking for like, hey, are there going to be mock drafts coming up? And now that free agency is out, and I'd say I don't know if it's all. I doubt it's all free agencies or free agents have signed, but there might be some coming in, trickling in, decisions being made. But I'd say a strong majority have already signed. There was a really big showing on during the show on the 6th. That was exciting. And I can only imagine, people are starting to work on those mock drafts. We don't know the exact order of the draft yet, but you can assume or just go based off of record. And then Cam did announce the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the expansion teams that were out there. So I can only imagine this weekend there might be some being drafted, or I'm sorry, being put together, being put and sent out this weekend. So I'm sure keep your eyes out for that. And if anybody, I believe last year Frank Bernstein had put together and shared a mock draft kind of template that you could take and copy and create your own. I wonder if maybe he might be interested, or someone similar to that would be interested in creating another one that allow people to sort of make their own mock drafts and check how good they are at fortune telling. I guess you will. So
I remember I only got one right, so I wasn't the best at fortune telling. But on another note, Tyler actually got Google Docs of all the teams with their free agency signed. So if new players, if you want to see what positions might be available for teams that you want to try out for, this is a good chance to do it. You can see their lineup, and you can see what teams might want you in the future for the draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his spreadsheet is awesome. Yeah, it's a good thing to refer to.
Very cool. Thank you for that call out. Yeah, if either reach out to Tyler Falk or Mike Ryan, or if you're not already, join his NetMud Discord as well. He's got that linked over there. Reach out. Feel free to. We can even link to it probably in our Minor League Fights and Insights general chat as well. So that also, one other point of business before we get to the games that are happening tomorrow night. We have what? It closes in 4.5 hours. Voting for the Pro Bowl, the Prospect Bowl for the minor league season. The game plays on the Wednesday the 22nd. So a day or two, I think it's 2 days after the semifinals and a day or two before the finals. So championship weeks, minor league championship week. It'll be then. And then, next week we'll be announcing who got what positions on the East and West teams as well. So that should be exciting. Make sure you get out there and share that link. Try to get people out there to vote for you, whether that's friends and family, whoever you need to shake the tree. Hey, Grandma, vote for me on this Google form. Whatever works, right? We have 4.5 hours left. So far, I checked right before the show started. We had 95 votes so far. Last year, we topped off at 99. So I'd love to see, with so many minor league players out there, I'd love to see us break that 100 mark and show exactly what this community can do. So get out there, get people voting. If you haven't voted, make sure that you do. I'm going to mention this before we end tonight as well. Again, all right. So enough about that. All right. So last Friday, we had some games. We had 4 games. I have them listed here. We'll go through them and talk a little bit about what those were like. So game 1, we saw Madison heading over to Albuquerque. It didn't seem too bad to begin with, and then it just sort of fell flat. Daniel, can you tell me a little bit about this game?
Well, I'm going to leave the stats to Mr. Reno, but I can tell you right now that we mentioned Liam already with the 4 turnovers. This was a turnover-heavy game. Xander kind of was doing all right throwing the ball, but when you got close to the end zone, that's when we saw the little picks and happened. I'm going to give him credit that one of the last picks in the end zone, he was trying to get away from a sack from a safety. He thought he can do on that play. But he did get 6 interceptions, which I believe ties the record that Christian Brown had for the most interceptions in a game. So he got to work on the turnovers and try and see what he can do for the final 2 games to get a win.
And Christian Brown, now the new quarterback in Vancouver. Big news. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Tom Pepper is not re-signing with Vancouver.
So even if that happens to you, what happens in the minor league kind of stays in the minor league. You can continue to have a hugely fruitful career after that as well. Season to season also changes. So that's awesome. Johnny, tell us a little bit about some of the stats for the game.
Some of the stats. So, like Daniel said, turnovers was the name of the game. Xander Moon had 6 picks. Of those 6 picks, find it. Who was it? Liam Ryan had 4 of the 6 picks. So congrats to that guy. Outstanding game. Yeah, other than that, looked like it was a pretty even game, except for the turnovers. I think we're looking at it. Were obviously the name of the game there.
Curious if you would mind checking what was Marcus Duncan? What was his average yards per carry, or what did he do for the game?
Okay, so
Marcus,
go ahead, Johnny.
No, go ahead.
You're the stat guy. I just have it up right here, ready to go. He had 26 carries for 123 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. So he was actually moving on the ground. I was actually hoping that you guys, the Madison team, would actually pass the ball or give the ball more to him because he was really trucking when he was having a chance. He's really grown into his own now this season.
Gotcha. All right. Then we move on to game number 2. And this one, I believe, went into overtime. Is that right? Lexington versus Annapolis.
Yes, it did. It did go into overtime.
And I think it was Christian Pierce was mentioning that he was super excited that he had more rushing yards than Randy Squarebush in that game.
You are 100% correct with that as well. Christian Pierce had 220. Randy Squarebush had 186. It was really a good game for the running backs on both sides. But yeah, Christian Pierce looks like $1 million after this game, just because of the fact that he outran the number 1 running back in the minor leagues, the two-way player Randy Squarebush. And not only that, he got them to win, right? They got the overtime. We thought it was going to be a little dicey in overtime. The ball actually went several times in overtime to both teams.
Wow,
before
okay.
finally Lexington was able to muster enough yards to get into a nice field goal for Joey Rabb to nail, I think, next to the 10-15 yard line.
Gotcha. Any statistical standouts, Johnny?
No, I was just looking at what Daniel was talking about, comparing Randy Squarebush to Christian Pierce. Yeah, Christian Pierce averaged 7.9 yards per carry. Randy Squarebush averaged a little over that at 8.5, but that's a great running attack from both teams. Really impressive. I have to say too, Chad Moore, as a brand new quarterback coming in, week 2 or week 3 of the season? I don't even think he's played a full season, but he's had a great season so far. He actually had no picks, 1 touchdown, 187 yards. But just kind of tracking him throughout the season, he's had a great year so far.
Very cool. Congrats, Chad. Yeah, I wonder. You mentioned the yardage difference, not just total yards, but the yards per carry. Based on that, I can only assume that Christian ran a lot more attempts, a lot more carries than Squarebush. So maybe Annapolis was more of a little bit more of a balanced attack, where Lexington might have been relying more heavily on Christian Pierce, because Annapolis does have a pretty solid backfield, and with Chad Moore, maybe, as rookie, as green as he is, giving him making sure that he had the best chance at completions out there.
Yeah, I mean, Chad threw the ball 35 times.
Wow. Okay.
It looks like Christian Pierce did carry the ball 6 more times, so a little higher of a running attack.
Okay.
But regardless, yeah, he gave Chad the chance to shine.
Wow.
Yeah. No turnovers either. He did get sacked 5 times, so the offensive line got to work a little better on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he did.
And if, like you said, Daniel, if the game did have a couple more drives back and forth in overtime, that would inflate, passing attempts and things like that, and runs as well. So,
yeah, honest to God, I thought Albuquerque was going to win once it got to overtime. I thought Lexington had to beat them before the 4th quarter ended. They proved me wrong, so it's good on them.
Very cool. So game 3, we saw Lincoln heading west to San Jose. And it looked like San Jose took the win from them. Daniel, tell us a little bit about this game.
Logan Lee had another great game. Logan Lee's getting better and better every week for running back. 21 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Kenny Slider, even though his passing percentage is really good, he had 3 turnovers, no touchdowns. So I think that was really what the Achilles heel of what the Lincoln team was. And I'm going to give credit. They hung in there the entire way. They kept fighting through. This is the best team in the league right now, San Jose. And Lincoln's still putting up numbers, putting up fight. It's going to be interesting to see what they do now come the last 2 games. because they've really been. They start off low, rose up. This is a little speed bump, let's say, in the road. I think they're still improving and getting better each and every week.
Johnny, any specific standouts for you, stat wise, that you see?
It does look like it was a game of turnovers. I think Jordan Sipe had a couple picks, along with Kenny Slider. So it looks like the defense has stepped up. Trying to look at some defensive stats here. Sorry, I'm kind of just going on a whim, but
yeah, you go ahead. I'll point out one while you're looking. Brian James had 11 tackles, solo tackles, and 1 assisted tackle as a strong safety.
Yeah, and Sam Blotner also had 2 picks. I think I called him out last week. I know he's a two-way player, but I think he had 2 or 3 picks last week. So
I think I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke Swift had a pick, and Frankie Lancaster also had a pick.
So San Jose is just simply, they're playing really well. Their record proves it, right? And they've got great coaching, but they are not quite infallible. But they do what needs to happen, and they end up coming out and finishing the games as strong as they need to get that win. It's probably it's not like a huge blowout where they're just coming in and creaming people like they did, very first week or two. Things are getting a lot closer. These other teams are able to scout and find what works to maybe try to combat them. Nobody's gotten to that point yet. They're just keeping right at that cusp. So kudos to them for plowing through. Game 4, we saw Tacoma going north of the border to Ottawa. And Ottawa coming out the victor. Daniel, any gears to grind for this game at all?
It was a pretty good game. It was a little slow at points, especially in the first half. It got a little slow. Tacoma got 13 points, and Ottawa got 13 points in the first half. And then they kind of sprung it up in the second half. Ty was pretty good. Coming off a 500-yard game last week. It's a little disappointed, I guess, to see 286, but he did play well. Only 1 interception. Did get sacked 5 times, so he got trouble in the pocket. JP Elliott also 12 carries, 102 yards. Only on 12 carries, which is really good. That's 8.5 yards per carry. But they just couldn't get it done in the end of the game, and that's I think we're seeing with Tacoma, right? If games get close towards the end of the game, they almost get there, but it gets pulled away from them at the very end.
Gotcha. Johnny, any standout players in that game?
Yeah, looking at it, I was going to call out Cyrus Jive. He was 33 for 40 for 273 yards.
Wow.
Granted, he did have 2 picks, but 3 touchdowns, but completed 82.5% of his passes. So
that is solid.
Yeah, Cyrus had a great game. On the defensive side of the ball, looks like Terrence Pearson had 9 tackles. So shout out to him. And Chad McDevitt with Tacoma, he had 10 tackles. So that's awesome. There are a couple picks. Tacoma defense, Jeff Spicoli had a pick, and James Remington also had a pick. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, it looks like Cyrus Jive had himself a game, which probably made a little bit of the difference. So good for him.
Cool. Have you guys? So we just went through both San Jose and Tacoma, and I know the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the record that both of the quarterbacks there are inching towards. San Jose with Sipe getting closer and closer to the total touchdowns, I believe, and Ty getting closer and closer to his total yards. Is that right? Or what was the?
What I was looking at was QBR because I think he's going to take down. I think he's going to take down my record, but that's okay. But yeah, it looks like where he's at with the season, Ty Patakis still has 102.6 passer rating for the season. Jordan Sipe right behind him at 99.1. So both of those guys excelling in that category.
Cool. So that leads us to now the this week, tomorrow's games. There we go. So tomorrow's games, we've got four coming up for you. Excuse me. The first one is Albuquerque is heading over to Lincoln. So here we can see again Trellis Blanton, and I'm curious how Baloo Scott has been doing. I feel like she did pretty well against Madison. just did, nothing spectacular, but was able to, contribute to their game. And then Kenny Slider, like you said, Daniel, doing what he could against San Jose last week. What are your thoughts on this game, Daniel?
Well, I'm a Rattlesnakes true and true for this season only, so I need these boys to make the playoffs at the very least. And these are the games that really matter now, right? We're in a big bunch of groups. Everybody's 3-3 for the most part, except for San Jose and unfortunately Madison. But everybody else, it's really close. These games are going to decide who makes playoffs, who don't. And if the game is close, and we've seen it pretty much all this season, Albuquerque will win the close games just by the boot of Mickey Malo. I'm not going to go Mickey this time. I did my one a week. But his boot alone makes it that they score at least 3 points every time they get close enough. And if you got something like that, really supportive to actually get those points when you need to, that makes a world of difference when it comes to games like this. And on the other side, I don't think they even have a kicker. Kickers are so limited right now in the minor leagues, and they're so high priority in the majors. So it's going to be cool to see where these guys go, because I think they're all going to get drafted come draft time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you mentioned that, and the prime example was last week. Madison had a kick by a generic kicker that ended up going wide, I think left or right, and missing it. That does happen, and it doesn't happen as often when you've got Mickey with a silver. It happens a lot less, and Mickey is one of, I believe, 3 kickers in the field right now in the minors. So you're taking Lincoln has the edge here, or
I have to give Lincoln the edge because I need them to make playoffs.
But it should be a solid game.
It should be a solid game, and if the game is close, I think Albuquerque will win if the game is close.
Gotcha. But just to keep your prediction alive, you have to go with Lincoln.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this right now. Mickey is 11 for 11 on field goals so far. So, I mean, he's money when it comes to close yards or getting them points.
Mickey Money Malilo. Money! All right. Johnny, do you have any thoughts on this game?
Well, I was just again, I'm looking at stats here, but one person looking at season stats. I don't look at running backs too often, but I'm really impressed with Logan Lee. He's carried for 658 yards and 8 touchdowns this season so far. So he's actually the second ranked running back on the season.
For that.
Not that. Go ahead.
I was going to say for 6 games so far, having over 600, over 100 per game averaging, that is pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. I mean, that's on top of even a running back that's technically a two-way player. So yeah, great stats for him. I don't know if that necessarily gives Lincoln the advantage, but a great player to watch this week. Since we did talk to Jordan Peace and I predicted incorrectly last week, I will pull for him this week, and I'll say Albuquerque gets the win.
Oh, gotcha. No, there's a new curse going on.
I like Jordan. He seemed like a good guy. I got to root for him.
Cool. All right. Well, that is Albuquerque. Oops, wrong button. So next we have Annapolis visiting Tacoma over in the Northwest. Tacoma lost last week, right? Yes, they lost to Ottawa, and Navigators lost as well. So again, these are 2 teams that are 3-3. One will come out 3-4, the other one 4-3. Who do you think that'll be, Daniel? What are your thoughts on this game?
So I love Tacoma. Tacoma's great, but they've had trouble stopping the running game, and we got Randy Squarebus coming back. They lost. He had a good game. Tacoma really needs to tie up the running game against Randy Squarebus because that's what their game plan is going to be, right? Gene Struthers is good. He was great last season. He's good this season. He's turned over the ball a bit too many times for my liking throughout the season, but if it's Navigators are coming, you have to stop the run. So hopefully they got a game plan. My heart says Tacoma, but my mind says Randy Squarebus is going to be angry and is going to run all over them.
Gotcha. Johnny, do you have a prediction at all, or how you think this game may play out?
I usually try to go against what Daniel says, but I feel the exact same way. I think Annapolis is going to bring the running game. I don't know how well Tacoma's defense can hold up to that. I do think to combat that, I think that Tacoma will throw the ball a lot instead of running with JB Elliott. So maybe they can offset that a little bit, but I think the running game will be too much for Tacoma.
I think it might be, again, this is just my guess. It might be that Annapolis scores a lot of points on the shoes of Squarebush, and then Ty is out there, hitting dimes down the field. And this might be I wouldn't say an air raid back and forth, but one might be a running attack versus a huge running attack versus a huge passing attack. Might be fun. But that does say, I was talking with Coco a few weeks ago, and I was worried about interceptions and things. And he's like, you gotta, you gotta spend money to make money. So it's like, you have to throw things down, and it may be an interception, but that's the only way you get those longer touchdowns as well. So there might be, Annapolis their defensive backs, in the backfield, they've got all 6 of them back there. They might be back there hungry for that ball, and we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think, Johnny, you were saying, putting it more on the arm of Ty versus the feet of JB Elliott over on Tacoma might be the way that they go. And that's probably the way I would go as well. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. I can only imagine it should be a high scoring game. One way or the other. Either one person sky's really hot, scores a lot of points, or they're both scoring a lot of points. So cool. All right, that brings us then to our third game. That is Lexington coming to Madison, who plays at home this week. Yeah, we saw Lexington's pulled it out in long overtime against Madison, who's still seeking that first win. Daniel, what is your take on this game?
So Madison last season was the Miners' Achilles heel. And I'm hoping for the same happening here, because Madison can play spoiler right now, right? They're the team that can play spoiler to anybody that's trying to make the playoff. And in the championship game, Madison spoiled the Miners' heroic rise to the playoffs, and really took home the championships. And I like days of view. I'm having flashbacks. I think we might see it. I'm not going to say mark my words about it, but I think we might see the rise of the Lynx to gain their first win.
Johnny, Johnny on the spot? What is your take?
Mark my words. No, I love Lexington. I love Ethan Kai's passion, but I'm gonna say it again. I think this is the week that Madison gets a victory. I feel like so many things go wrong their way that it's just a matter of time before it turns around. And I know it's late in the season; they're sitting at the bottom of the pack, but I think they're due for a breakout game.
End strong, no matter what the outcome. End strong. I like that. I have to say that same type of confidence. I want to see Madison get that win and take home bragging rights over the Miners. All bets aside, all things. I think they're due, and I think I think I'm excited to hopefully see that happen. I want to see a good game. I want to see a lot of excitement, some heart pounding. But Madison taking home that victory. So that brings us then to our final game. So that is San Jose, who's super hot. They 6 winning streak, 6-0, is coming into another strong, player. Ottawa has been really doing pretty well, really, especially since last year. They've really stepped up, especially on the defensive side, and then their offense lately has been pretty good. Daniel, what is your take on this final game?
Well, Ottawa is exactly where I thought they would be. I said at the start of the season that they need to get some wins off the defense, get a few turnovers, sneak a few wins, and they're exactly there. They're in position to make playoffs. And that's all Ottawa was hoping for. That's all they wanted. They wanted a chance. Now, unfortunately, the draw put them up against the monster that is San Jose Flight near the end of the season. But if there's any time to make your rise and make your pinnacle to say this is where we stand, this is the game to do it. Now, with that said, I can't bet against San Jose Flight anymore. They're the monster team, so I expect them if they can, they're going to run the table. But this game might be close because of Ottawa's defense, right? Their defense is good. Their defense has been really, really stepping it up, and we'll see how it goes. But I got Flight here. I think that's the easy money bet.
Yeah. They have a full complement of defensive backs back there. Looking at San Jose, they've just got the one cornerback. They've got a free safety and two strong safeties, but missing that, having a generic quarterback out there covering Michael Knight, it looks like that might be a spot that Cyrus Jive, heads and hits hard. You never know. Johnny, what is your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so Daniel mentioned Ottawa's defense. That's exactly what I was looking at. So they allow the second fewest points allowed per game at 18.67. And also where they really strive is the passing game. They're actually allowing the fewest passing yards as a defense so far this season at 178 yards. So I know Jordan Sipe normally lights it up. And I feel like if there's a team he's going to struggle against, it could be Ottawa. I'm with Daniel. I hate to bet against San Jose, but I think San Jose is going to have to rely heavily or a little more heavily on the run game this week if they want to succeed. So it'll be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's hard to bet against them because they're undefeated so far. And there's nothing. They've been doing a great job. Coaches have been doing a great job. The players have been, putting forth what they need to put forth and finishing their games out. But again, yeah, that Ottawa Cavalry is bucking and riding and tearing down the hill, coming straight at the Flight. So should be bound to be a really good game out there, and maybe a defensive battle. It might be low scoring, or perhaps maybe Ottawa's defense will score some points, get some points on the board as well. So, do you guys have we covered the 4 games. Do you have a game of the week? Do you have one you want to? Is there one that you're like, this is a must watch? Is there one?
Give me a second. Can you scroll through the games real quick?
Sure. So we've got Albuquerque at Lincoln. Pretty close game, I think you said.
Yeah.
We have Annapolis at Tacoma. This one, could be either Randy Squarebush or Ty throwing it. Then we've got Lexington at Madison. I think this is just going to be really a struggle on both sides, and we'll see which one comes out. A solid game. And then we've got San Jose at Ottawa.
The first game, the Albuquerque game, is going to be the closest, and I think that'll be the best game because I have a feeling it's going to be close, and I think it's going to rely on the kicking game that will determine who wins or loses that game.
Gotcha.
And I love Lincoln. I'm rooting for them to do well, but if the game is close, I think the kickers matter here.
So it might be us. Someone has a lead, then they trade off. That's the other team has a lead, just going back and forth, and whoever has the lead at the end of triple zeros might be the one, or whoever has the ball and is in kicking position in the final seconds might be who takes it.
So Dan, do you think Mickey wins this for Albuquerque this week? Is that what you're saying?
After him being interviewed, I'm a Mickey fanatic. I am on the bus. I want his autograph. I want him to broadcast a game for me.
MICKEY MO.
Mickey's so fine. He blows my mind. Okay, hey Mickey.
I love it.
No, Mickey was a great interview, great guy. For sure. And looking at if I had to pick a game of the week, I was debating between Albuquerque and Lincoln and Annapolis and Tacoma, to be honest. I was leaning towards Albuquerque, Lincoln. Man, when you have so many 3-3 teams and each game means so much, it's really hard to tell. So I'm just excited to see all the games, to be honest with you, because this week makes all the difference as far as the playoffs go. Mm-hmm. Even though you have, the undefeated team, playing Ottawa and, the team that hasn't won a game playing Lexington, it doesn't matter. I mean, if Madison happens to upset Lexington, that makes all the difference in the world. So you never know. It's going to be a fun week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
all the games will be close. Honestly, I think every game is going to have good potential to be the game of the week.
So we have 4 games
sure.
of the week today or tomorrow. I think I agree. I think Albuquerque is going to be a really great game. I think, like you said, Annapolis is going to be Annapolis versus Tacoma. Should be a fun game to watch. Maybe a lot of excitement, a lot of big plays, perhaps. And then we've got Madison versus Lexington. A lot on the table for Madison. Lexington. Could Madison play the upset for Lincoln? For the season. And then the opposite, we've got San Jose. Could the Ottawa Cavalry come in and play, not spoilers per se, but Ottawa is coming in, could they be the victors here and meet San Jose in the playoffs, perhaps, maybe even in the finals? You never know. There's a lot. Every game has something going on for it. Definitely, regardless of players and scores, there's so much extra going into it, which is great to see. So that is exciting. I'm curious, for those that are watching, if you have a game of the week, if you think there's one out there, feel free to put it in the chat or pop it in our Discord channel. Would be great too. So that's all 5 games, and then, as I mentioned, make sure you get out there, get your vote out. Make sure you get people voting for whether it's you or just going in and voting. We really want to see a lot more people putting in their opinions and who gets in there and things for the Pro Bowl, the Prospect Bowl. So that does it. Daniel or Johnny, do you guys have anything else to say?
I'm just going to say it right now. I'm looking forward to the next pro season. I love the minors and all, but we just got signed to a new team, and I'm ready to play. But also, just another note, All-Star Game is coming up too soon with the championship game for the minor leagues. So you're getting a lot of football in a short amount of time. So get ready, guys. It's all coming hot. It's coming fast. And soon enough, the draft will be here.
Yep, and then it'll be, I think that's the 25th, 26th. You'll start getting transitioned if you get drafted into the teams. And then it'll be the 4th of July. Get a nice, breather of a break, maybe probably no football, or maybe there's some preseason games that start, because that does happen. And then I think it's 7-11, July 11th is the big week 1 of the pros. So before you know it, what's the 8th today? We're almost a month away from the start of the pro season. So not even a lot of time to sit back on your haunches or laurels. So Johnny, anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, it's going to come really quick. I mean, we're talking about the minor leagues right now in a matter of a month. These minor league players are going to be playing alongside us, so it's going to be a jam-packed next few weeks, because you got, we were talking about this week's games mean so much, and the final week is going to be absurd. Championship, and then the next day after the championship is the draft. So there's a lot going on in a short amount of time. So I'm excited to watch it all play out.
Absolutely. And for those out there, all you minor league players watching, reach out, every day, every half a day, go check the player openings, shake the trees out there for the various GMs that are looking for positions, make connections. I think it was Chad and Swole in the chat last week saying, there's no bad networking. So see this as a great networking opportunity. If it doesn't happen this season, it could happen next season. It just deepens your engagement in the league, makes you more excited, more invested in your game, in your player, and the people around you, in the community. There's nothing wrong with reaching out. That's what they're there for. That's what we're here for. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in our Discord channel. Over in the Discord, there's also some tips for rookies. I think it's labeled under tips of the day or something like that. We didn't have enough tips to fill up all the days, but there's a solid number there that you can go and take a look at. Some good sort of things to look at as you transition or get closer to the draft as well. So yeah, with that sort of ends our show. We are at 8:02 my time, Central Time. Solid, 60 minutes of content in the books. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Johnny, for joining us on the show for you. Appreciate it. Always great to see you guys here. Always great to see those chatting in the chat. We've got Michael is out there. We've got Jordan Sipe. We've got Ty. Got Matthew, Olivia, Nathaniel. Hey, Diggs, how are you doing? T Dequita's out there. It's like a who's who of SFL people, players that I like. So awesome. Anyways, well, that is it. Thank you for joining us. Have a happy Wednesday night. Enjoy the rest of your night. C8 Gore, great to see you out there. All right. Good evening.
See you later, guys.
Night. Thank you.